Welcome back. While Lisa may be talking about snow today, AAA wants you to be thinking about wind and the damage it can do to your home and property. Denver 7's Katie LaSalle and SKYLER McKinley recently chatted about wind damage and how that can impact your insurance.
SKYLER, in general, how damaging can wind be here in Colorado?
So when I say severe wind, your first thought is probably tornadoes, and those do happen here, by the way. Windsor, Colorado experienced a tornado in May 2008 that caused about $120 million in insured losses. We've seen similar storms across the state. It's more than just tornadoes, though. Folks generally don't believe a tornado is going to affect their daily life, but we regularly, over the past 5 years, as you know, have had wind gusts over 140 miles per hour. It's probably happened to you recently. One bad storm and all of your patio furniture ends up on your neighbor's lawn. That's a hassle, even though it's kind of funny to deal with. But generally, these storms do serious damage, which is why it's important to have the right insurance coverage.
Oh, absolutely. We see those hurricane-force winds. Things are thrown off the balcony. So how can having insurance really help Coloradans protect their property against these high winds?
So if you live in a tornado-prone part of Colorado, your existing homeowners is probably going to cover you in the event of tornado, but it's not always the case. You should check. Some policies do exclude tornadoes. Others require a specific rider. And in some cases, your level of protection might not be high enough to protect all your property. Most of us, by the way, don't live in areas where we get a lot of tornadoes, we think, although we have had them in Denver before. But no matter where you live, there is this regular risk of wind damage, right? So to protect against that, take care to regularly inspect your roof. It's where most of that damage is going to accrue. If there are loose or damaged shingles, replace those before the next storm. If your roof has previously suffered extensive wind damage or hail damage, which we get a lot of, make sure you get that fixed before the winds really start to blow. Otherwise, it's just simple steps. It's fastening the edges of metal siding, of metal roofing with fasteners. It's removing any trees that are too close to your property to prevent any trees and limbs from falling and damaging the roof, for example. And then anchor those projectiles. Make sure your grill is strapped down. If you've got a deck chair, make sure if you can bolt that down. And generally, if you know a storm is coming, move everything inside. Finally, if you're worried about damage to your car, and we hear this a lot in the insurance industry because we get so many falling trees, right? Make sure you've got comprehensive coverage. You're not going to be covered under collision. You're not going to be covered under liability. But with comp coverage, if a tree falls, insurance will make you whole.
And how can Coloradans figure out what insurance they need for their personal needs?
We are lucky to live in Colorado. I've lived here my whole life. I won't live anywhere else, and the wind isn't going to scare me off. But life in Colorado does require some special considerations, especially when it comes to insurance. So I always say to find the right insurance, work with somebody who lives in your same community. We can help you find a local agent who knows what we're dealing with out here at AAA.com/lifeincolorado.
Now to a warning about being careful while cooking this week. AAA says Thanksgiving is the most dangerous day of the year for house fires, mainly because cooking is the leading cause of residential house fires.
Just know some of the basic chemistry. If you have a grease fire that starts, you want to smother that with a metal lid or with baking soda. If a fire starts in your oven, God forbid, turn off the heat, keep the door closed. And then, by the way, if you're sleepy, if you've had too much to drink, make sure somebody's there is helping you.
Now, if you decide to fry a turkey, make sure the turkey is thawed completely and make sure the fryer is at least 10 feet away from your home and on concrete, not on grass.